Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. This is a girl, Jen, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. And if you want to get formal, it's Miss Jennifer Frederick with a late edition on Let Me Talk the Thing. People, today is Friday. And I had so much thing happening. I say, you know what, today's Friday, the weekend, they don't hear me till Monday, go stay. So it's all right if I go a little late today, you know how things does the change of the scene. So I want to thank you all for always coming and hanging with me Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and every time I make the call. Those on Facebook, love you all, love you all, love you all. Keep sharing the live, keep liking it, share it to others, and those on Bounce Up channel, Bounce Up Network. Thank you all for accepting me within the Bounce Up family and continue to subscribe and of course like. Love it all the thing and tell other people about it. So you know we have an order here. Let me start this thing one time. And the pledge.
I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I will honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, and my elders, and those in authority. I will be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. I will strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country.
So people, that was the pledge there and our anthem. This is the month of independence. This is the month that we got our independence from England. The draft constitution was prepared in 1962. And Dr. Eric Eustace Williams and his team went up to Marlborough House along with the opposition at the time, DLP, with the political leader, Capildio, Rujintanat Capildio. And I played for you all what would have taken place up there. We had Sir L.S. Clark, who was like a mediator. And then we had issues with Capildo's behavior, and then Tajmul Hossain and Lionel Sukaran would have intervened in their way to help to smoothen the side of the opposition. And with the leading party at the time, People's National Movement, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, there was an agreement between all parties because Capildio did not want to get us to get that independence at all. And then I told you there was a group down here, the former Indian Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and their job was to do a lot of stuff, sabotage, terrorism, in my opinion, violence going on against people of African descent. All that was planned if they were not to get the way. So we too have to thank Tajmul Hossain and Lionel Sukaran for being the level head on the opposition side, DLP, that all these things were averted one way or the other. So let me continue. So I saw this in the Guardian, York to bolster soccer warriors for home matches. That is another way we could show our patriotism and love for Trinidad and Tobago by supporting our Soca Warriors team, our men's football team. So Trinidad and Tobago senior men's football team head coach Dwight York has declared that his squad will be prepared for the daunting challenge of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers next month, while simultaneously issuing a stern disapproval of the external noise from critics. The former TNT captain spoke candidly on the pressing issues facing the national team during his appearance on I-95.5 FM 6 to 26 World Cup podcast hosted by Andre Errol Batiste and Tony Lee, which aired on Wednesday. CONCACAF third and final round of 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying is set to kick off on September the 5th, with Trinidad hosting Curacao in Port of Spain, followed by a massive clash against regional rivals Jamaica and Kingston on September the 9th. Speaking to the podcast or on the podcast, Young acknowledged the significant hurdles ahead, but projected an air of determined confidence. We will be ready, but the challenge will be to gather the players under one roof and ensure that they stay fit and healthy during that time. We are now in the middle of August, and they have about 3 or 4 games to play before arriving at camp. FIFA next international break runs from September the 1st to the 9th. However, York revealed that he will have just 10 days to work with his players ahead of the 2 vital international matches, a period he admits is a race against time to instill his tactical philosophy. This critically short preparation window is compounded by the logistical dilemma of factoring in the time it may take for your overseas-based players to arrive in Trinidad. The key factors is your home games, York said. He continued by outlining his approach to the qualifying group. Ideally, we want to go through this campaign unbeaten, not relatively sure. But you have to take care of your home games, and that is the basic. Following the next month clash with Curacao, Trinidad and Tobago faces a stretch of 3 games in foreign territories, starting with a trip to Jamaica on September the 9th, followed by back-to-back away games on the following window against Bermuda, October the 10th, and a return leg against the Dutch Islanders, October the 14th. We at Lobby Talk Ting and Bounce Up Central Network, we want to wish our men's senior team all the best with their coach, the international coach, Dwight York. He has always made us proud and he will continue to. And we need to stop the negativity. Let's put positivity there. We could do it. Yes, we can. We're just as good as anybody else. But you see, this mindset, we just put in, oh God, this is Jamaica. Oh God, this is America. Please, we are good as just as anybody else. So we wish them all the best and we know they will do well. So let me continue. So I saw this, Alvin Haley, and it says here the internationally acclaimed Alvin Ailey 2 dance company will perform at Queen's Hall on Tuesday, August the 26th, with 2 shows presented by Play for the Arts in partnership with National Dance Association of Trinidad and Tobago and the Sunbeam Communication. So people get yourself out there. Dance is my thing, I'm part of the arts and all that. Get yourself out there and go and enjoy it with the family, carry the kids, and take part in the arts. I'm also seeing, just a minute, this group of ladies here, one of them would have won the 100-meter Miss Bascom. So this is TNT sprint quartet of Alexi Henry, Shanakwa Bascom, Sarah Joseph, and Jeanne de Gans earned this country its 11th medal of the Junior Pan American Games in Asuncion, Paraguay on Thursday night, when they sprinted to the silver medal in the women's 4x100-meter final at the athletic stadium. So let us congratulate our young ladies, and they are doing it and doing it well. Then I see some more ladies here say, what? We're not easy. Just a minute. These women here now, this is the Trinidad and Tobago women's volleyballers sealed a place in the finals of the Caribbean Zonal Volleyball Association, CAZOVA, CAZOVA, Senior Championship on Thursday with a 3-0 victory over regional powerhouse and defending champions Jamaica in the semifinals at the Kendall G.L. Isaac National Gymnasium in New Province, Nassau, Bahamas. So give our girls a we're doing it and we're doing it well. Let me see who we have again. Watch me now. Excuse me. One more young lady again. And this year's rising cyclist talent, Kyra Williams, produced a new personal best on day 2 of the 2025 UCI Junior Track World Championship in Alpeldium, Netherlands on Thursday, but she could not progress beyond the 1/16 round of the women match sprint. Congratulations still. Congratulations. Just making it out there is worthy. But we know you'll do better next time. So we continue the thing. So people, I want to show you this video. Director, is the video ready for me to use? Can I use the video that you have up? Okay, so I saw this and it just piqued my interest because you know the conversation this be, not by all peoples, by some people of Indian descent in Trinidad, that the only people that behave badly, the only people have no behavior, the only people who are unlawful, the only people who have no behavior, nothing at all, they seem to always think it's people of African descent. This is something coming out of Canada that I want you all to listen to.
Right now! Why did you not right now? Why? He paid it in full! He paid it in full! He only paid! 2 weeks ago he paid the money! I want the money now! Right now! Let it be! Let it go! Let it be!
I found a deeper hitting version of why are South Asians the most hated in Canada, and this is my honest opinion. There's a reason the South Asian community, particularly us Indians, often get side-eyed in Canada while other immigrant groups they quietly integrate, build lives and create opportunities. We seem to thrive on chaos. Why? First, entitlement. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that moving to Canada was a privilege, not a right. Instead of adapting, we impose our culture, our noise, our ways. It's one thing to celebrate Diwali, it's another to turn residential streets into a rave, completely with firecrackers and traffic jams. When people call us out, we play the victim. They don't understand our culture. But maybe we are the ones who don't understand the value of blending in respectfully. Then there's our obsession with shortcuts. Fake marriages, fraudulent job offers, under the table work. It's no secret. Instead of playing the long game like other communities, we want instant success, even if it means bending every rule. And guess what? That doesn't just reflect poorly on the guilty, it tarnishes everyone, the whole Asian communities who's here to build a life. And the infighting? Oh, it's unmatched, man. While other communities focus on lifting each other up, we seem to be determined to tear each other down. Gossiping, backstabbing, case politics. We have imported all of it here. Instead of building a united front, we are busy dividing ourselves, making us weaker and easier to target. So why are we hated? Maybe it's because we refuse to take responsibility. We are loud, unapologetic, and often disrespected of the very system that gave us a chance. And when the backlash comes, we scream racism added that absolves any of the wrongfulness. But here's the truth. Canada owes us nothing. We came here for a better life and we've been given opportunities many can only dream of. It's time to stop acting like the world owes us, to stop creating problems where none exist, and to start respecting this country and ourselves. We have so much potential. Let's stop being the problem and start being part of the solution.
Make a 4-counter, not a 1-counter! You don't want to miss your 1 ball! Just start!
I'm just doing it if you kindly please put your phones away. We're gonna deal with it. Okay, thank you.
You don't understand what is going on!
That's another thing.
You can see that. It's crazy, you know?
We can talk this whole way, you know.
We make you do a baseball game and then you will realize that how it feels. Let's make you do it.
Okay, someone please explain to me why no one in Canada hates Indian immigrants more than Indian immigrants. I'm back in Canada after a year, and I guess there's been a big influx of Indian immigrants, and because of that, there's been a lot of like racism now towards them. Like you could literally open up any 6 Plus article, even if it's not related to the students or immigrants. It could be like Gardner Expressway flooding because of rain, and for some reason the top 10 comments are like it's because of the Indians. But always mixed in with those white racist comments are Indian racist comments. What's up with that? At first, I thought it was just one post, but I started seeing a trend, and it's so funny. Like, it's all the same. There's this comment underneath a video of like 6 dancing at Young and Dundas, all problems with Canada in one video. Brother, your name is Varun Sharma. And I've spoken to a couple as well. They'll be like, oh, these guys are ruining our reputation, man. We have built for 20 years and now they are just coming and ruining it. And because of this, it's becoming a feedback loop. The other day, I was talking to one dude and he's like, yeah, bro, these immigrants are getting out of control. He had been in the country for 8 months. The only piece of advice I have to give to people like that, siding with the wolves will not save you when it's time to get eaten.
So I walked in on this situation yesterday and I recorded it after a few minutes of hearing the full story and getting an idea of what happened. I did not just turn on my camera right away. I obviously listened to what was going on and I realized, this guy was in the wrong, obviously. And he was threatening this man, like prior to turning on my camera, he was going at this guy for 10 minutes, harassing him, threatening to call the police. When the guy told him, go ahead and call the police, he's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Because I'm pretty sure if the police came, they would have been forced to pay. And they just wanted to put on a show so that the guy would say, just leave without paying. He collected his passport pictures and left. If he didn't like the passport pictures, he should have gave them back. But as you can see, he collected everything and they made a big scene not to pay and left. And he asked the guy to take his picture. And this guy here in the orange turban, who was there before me, was just supporting him because they're from the same culture, which is absurd. So yeah, this guy proceeds to defend him because they're from the same culture, not because he's right. And there's 6 other people, and they're all from the same place, and everyone's standing there in line, and nobody dares to say anything. And I'm like, they were all just willing to stand there and watch this man continually be harassed for as long as it takes, and nobody was willing to stand up and say anything.
I don't like you, Miss Sean. Miss Sean, you are racist. You are hiring all the Indians. I applied here and I got rejected. You are only hiring Punjabis. Yeah, it's true. I applied and I got rejected. I better get off. Thank God. Racist? My husband said he married me only for citizenship, and he called me a white trash girl. So don't tell me about racist. Really? He's a Punjabi, and he said all the Punjabis are the same. If you don't want me to be racist.
Well, I watched that and I played it for a reason, because the conversation by some in this country is always that African people this and African people that and African people that, we alone like crime and this, whatever it is. Well, apparently, some of them in this country don't understand what's happening in Canada with some people of Indian descent and the behavior, the criminal behavior, the bad behavior, and how some Canadians think about them. And not only that, it was informative to hear. Not that I didn't know about it, because I read something already from Professor Barrett where she spoke about when the endangered Indian laborers came here in 1845, because they internalized all what was happening. They took out the anger on each other. Yeah. So the guy there in Canada is saying Indians are most racist against their own Indians in Canada, and they're pulling down one another. It sounds like a story that we just hear in Trinidad about Africans against Africans. And the says when we alone does do that, right? So I hope some of the Africans listening today understand it's not an African thing, but pulling down one another. Apparently, those in Canada who are from India and going up there to live in Canada, they just do the same thing. So that's why it's good to read, it's good to research, and it's good to have other views than just a myopic view about what's happening just simply here alone. So I just felt I needed to play that to show this is not an African thing. Yeah, this is a people thing because not all Indians that get on so, and it's not all Africans that carry on like that. So no, all or no reasons. It always have some and a few does behave a particular way. But it was interesting to see that because back in the 90s, a group left from here, a group of Indian people left from here who had separated themselves from the rest of us in this country. And they call themselves Indish or something. So, and they went up to Canada to meet our next group up there. And then remember when they were lying and saying that African men were raping Indian women in Trinidad, and they went to Canada, some of them, they went to Canada seeking asylum. And when the Canadian authorities did investigation, there was no truth about it. And then after that, Colsey Bagan, who was a sitting MP, should have encouraged her constituents to form vigilante group to harm and kill people of African descent. All remember those things? Okay. All remember it'll be short. So I'm seeing here that the Agriculture Minister, Ravi Ratiram, who it was alleged by one of the own from the party, Dr. Devan Maharaj, alleged that there's something with human trafficking. He came from Canada at the time and did affidavits to what he would have said. That's a senior member in the UNC involved in human trafficking. We never hear nothing about that again, right? So, again, I said alleged. So I saw that the Minister of Agriculture, Minister Ravi Ratiram, say that the country could never be independent unless it achieved food sustainability. And I want to tell the Honorable Minister that Guyana is one of the countries that has reached food sustainability, but people still hungry in Guyana. This is what I saw here. There are people in Guyana experiencing hunger and food insecurity, though the country has made progress in reducing its prevalence. To address this, the Guyanese government is investing in agriculture, social assistance programs, and income generating activities to combat hunger at its root cases. Hunger in Guyana, like in many places, is not just about food availability, but is a deep structural problem linked to poverty. Climate change significantly impacts on Guyana's food security by affecting the availability, stability, access, and utilization of food. Many poor individuals and families in Guyana rely on agriculture for both their food and income. Agriculture investment. The government is increasing investments in agriculture to improve food production. Expanded social assistance programs and safety nets are in place to help vulnerable population. Efforts are being made to enhance income generating activities for both rural and urban poor populations. Policies are focusing on climate smart agriculture to adapt to climate change impact and ensure food is for a growing population. So, Minister of Agriculture, food sustainability does not automatically translate into because you have that you're independent. Because Guyana that could feed themselves, they still suffer with poverty. And because of that poverty, with all the food they have, they're having challenges. And you see that they're saying they're looking at doing programs, a safety net, assistance, social assistance programs, and safety nets are in place to help vulnerable population. But in this country, under this UNC, the vulnerable population, they take away the safety net, which when I was working and getting a salary, they were actually doing work, they were preserving the environment, they were preserving the whole when it green spaces. That is CPEP workers take away 10,500 jobs from those persons and from the reforestation persons and others. Those who are part of that safety net, they pull away the net. But I want to tell you about independence when Guyana have a safety net for its poor, vulnerable citizens, although they have enough food they could feed themselves. So you see, I would advise the minister when they're speaking to get information from all over and then be able to have a more informed opinion on things when they speak. That is my opinion. So let me continue. So Kamla Prasad Bissessa is telling people to ask stage. Now, it's kind of strange she telling me to ask anybody when she just really read after she members of parliament and ministers saying she go bust their head if they do this and do that. But now she asking, telling me to ask stage. So this was 21 hours ago in The Guardian. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is directing all questions to Defense Minister Wayne Sturge on whether or not a recent senior state board appointee is the attorney with close ties to the government who is a legend amongst those making death threats to him. The Prime Minister gave this response yesterday when asked by Guardian Media to comment on the claim after Opposition Chief Whip Marvin Gonzalez called her to name the attorney behind the alleged death threat. The attorney with close ties to the United National Congress government, as well as 2 illegal quarry operators and a military person, was cited in a report on the alleged threat to Sturge. This centered on Sturge purportedly resistance to comply with demands for jobs at the constituency and state level. After the April 20th general election, it's understood that Sturge had visited his Toko Sandy Grande constituency office only twice on official constituency days due to threats of protests outside the office and certain confrontation that occurred where his security detail had to act. He has, however, been at his office at varying times, and his support staff has continued working at the office. On Monday, Justice Minister Devnesh Maharaj and Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander said the threat to Sturge was very real. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar subsequently said minor security adjustments were made on a temporary basis to protect some ministers. This followed alleged threats on the lives of the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Khadija Amin, and Public Utilities Minister Barry Paradat, as well as Unemployment Relief Program Manager Feroz Khan, after the government began restructuring social programs. However, on Wednesday, Maharaj and Alexander urged reporters to get answers from Sturge himself on when and what threats have been made to him, to what security agencies he reported to, and other details. After Gonzalez on Tuesday called out Kamla Persad-Bissessar to speak on the identity of UNC-connected attorney, she replied to Guardian Media yesterday saying, "Please ask Minister Sturge." Yesterday, another top UNC official minister referred Guardian Media to Sturge for a response on whether all information and potential risk were disclosed to the party's hierarchy and decision makers before Sturge's appointment as minister, or when he said he didn't want to be a minister. The latter was stated by Sturge on a UNC platform at a campaign meeting 2 weeks before the election. Sturge did not respond to questions on the issues, and all calls and messages to his phone for answers and details have gone unanswered since the word of the alleged death threat broke. On Monday, Maharaj said the cabinet was set to meet soon on the issue of the fears of ministers over their safety and that of their families. It was expected that it would have been at yesterday's cabinet meeting. However, a post-cabinet media briefing was not held yesterday. No reason was yet given, but government sources denied it was not held because officials wanted to duck answering questions on the Sturge issue. It was noted that no media briefing was held that the previous Thursday. Back then, Persad-Bissessar addressed a function at the Diplomatic Center involving TSTT Future Leaders Internship Program. So now this is not a government thing. This is you have to ask a minister about what's happening with his situation. So I don't know. I saw this and I was like, oh, okay. You go, boy. You go, boy.
A few moments later.
So we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Let's see. As I continue, I saw this. And when I saw this video, I said to myself, the UNC always had it in for CPEP workers. Listen to this.
The report pointed to the corruption and fraud and thieving in that program. And you know, up to today, not one of them accounting for it. Not one of them before courthouse. Not one of them charged by police. I want to tell them, for every cent they thief, when the UNC Alliance funds the government, we're going to jail every single one of them. Jail them. Jail.
That was she before, that was in about, I think, 2010, around there before the election. You hear the tone and the behavior. Listen to this. This now is 2025.
Because as I said before in previous videos, when the PNM not in power, you all are rabid dogs. Emphasis on the dogs. Anybody in the UNC who is coward not to let go of PNM employees, I say fire burn all too.
So you hear the venom. That was Kamala Pesabi was speaking back in about, I think that was before the 2010 election, and you hear naked 2025. You hear the venom. Well, they hear the venom in the voice. Let me read this. It's not my writings. I will tell you when it is my writing. Where has our compassion gone? Day before yesterday, Richard Cooper, a 51-year-old father of 3 from San Fernando, couldn't carry the weight anymore. After losing his job with the National Reforestation and Watershed Rehabilitation Program last month, he sank into silence. On August the 19th, his family found him unresponsive at home. He worked side by side with his wife in that program for years. Now she's a widow left to raise their 19-year-old and 6-year-old children without him, and without a steady pay that kept food on their table. But Richard is not the only one. CPEP Forestry, URP, CCC, these programs were meant to catch the vulnerable, not strangle them. Jobs that once meant survival are now snatched away, leaving families dangling like meat on a hook. And we, the citizens, are sitting like prey, waiting our turn in this ongoing massacre. Senator David Nackett said it plain. When the PNM in power, their parades, their patriotism were just a feeding frenzy for their base. But when the PNM is out, their supporters become rabid dogs, snapping, desperate, and exposed. Now a monster has emerged, bigger than life, a Sukunya sucking blood, drawing life, draining life, prowling corridors of the power, picking agents or picking targets. And guess what? There's no way to prove who voted UNC. Even PNM supporters who stayed quiet agreeing change was needed and now see the decision had turned into prosecution. PNM has never been just about its base. People earn their jobs honestly through due process. Yet now, even they are prey, caught in the jaws of a system that doesn't care who you are and only it wants to crush you. In America, they call it going postal. Workers snapping under pressure. Here in Trinidad, we're not going postal, we're going silent, we're going helpless, we're going cemetery. So I asked, Madam Prime Minister, where is the compassionate leader we once knew? Has she vanished into the shadows of this Sukunya-like monster? Are we to be crushed under its claws like she dances to the tune of MP Barry Padarat, popularly known as the Undertaker? Because if leadership becomes about hunting citizens instead of protecting them, the massacre is real. It is here. And every one of us, every honest worker, every silent voter, every family just trying to survive is on the menu. Wake up, Madam PM. Remember that once you led with mercy, not with fangs, even life matters. Every life matters. Every family matters. Before the Sukunya sucked the life from all of us. These are not my words. This is my words, you know. We as a country, once this continues, we're going to be seeing an increase in suicides, domestic violence, child abuse, petty theft, shoplifting, mental and emotional health challenges, and the list goes on and on. And this is me saying, in my opinion, the death of Mr. Richard Cooper, his 51-year-old father, who he and his wife was working National Reforestation, they get fired. His death, his suicide, his death, whatever it is on the hands of those who shut down all those programs and send home everybody just like that. Let me continue. So while David Naked is saying that the independence celebration, it was just a feeding frenzy for PNM people, it's a PNM affair. Again, I want to ask him, when he used to don the red, black, and white jersey and sing the anthem, and the flag is raised, and he was playing for Trinidad and Tobago, did he feel like that? I want to ask him this also, because he seemed to be a very divisive individual. I want to ask him if there's any truth. So when he came back to Trinidad from after playing with Grasshopper, the football team Grasshopper, and he came back to Trinidad, while he was on the team with our other national footballers, did he accuse the guys and them on the team who from Lavantil of thieving his kit? What I mean kit, he Grasshopper clothes, the jersey, the pants, must be socks and everything. Is it true he accused the players on the national team who from Lavantil of thieving his kit? Is it true that after he find that he had was to come back and apologize for what he did? Is it true that I had to remove him from the team because of his very divisive and racist behavior on the team? I just asked a question. I want to know if it's true also. He used to pull the footballers who light skin like himself and had them against the one who dark skin like me. I asked a question because it seemed to me if these things are true, that David Nackett has an issue with his ethnicity. He has an issue in identifying with self. So he probably, problem is not PNM, the problem is not Trinidad and Tobago, the problem seems to be here. And I want to ask this last one. When you was in jail in Lebanon, why didn't duke it out? All the amount you have, why didn't duke it out? Why it is? You had to ask a question. How you get out of a Lebanon jail? Was it due to the diplomatic conversation that the Prime Minister, PNM Prime Minister, Mr. Manning, Prime Minister Manning had, along I think with Jack Warner to get you out of Lebanon? Why didn't stay there and get them talk? You should have stayed there and get them talk and talk about injustice and who is rabid dog and who is insipid jackass. You should have stayed there and do that. PNM should have to get you out from Lebanon. That today you sitting on we parliament and calling people rabbit dog. Answer them questions from an honorable David Naked, the junior minister in the Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs that deal with young people. So while they want to scorn on our independence and make it as if it's a PNM thing and not a national thing, because when DLP and the PNM was up in Marlborough House, when they did agree, it was independence not for Indian people alone, or African people alone, or Chinese people alone, or Syrian people, or Lebanese people alone, or Caucasian people alone, for Trinidad and Tobago all citizens. And when they agreed to the national anthem and the flag, it was not a PNM flag and a PNM anthem. It was the flag and the anthem at Trinidad and Tobago. And when they started to celebrate independence, because Dr. Reginald Capildio spoke at one of the first independence we had, he and the DLP didn't refuse to go and talk. They went and took part in it because it was about Trinidad and Tobago. So I don't know what all they're talking about, and especially you, David Nacken. You seem to have a hatred of self. Based on your behavior, you seem to hate yourself. Something ain't resting right with you. Your aura don't look good. Your aura don't look good. It looks as though you're on a substance. I just asking, is it a black substance? I just asking. So as I was saying here, I don't know why this thing I just submit, oh God. Yeah, just submit is not a robot and all kind of damn things. Skip that. Skip that. Verify what? You think you want me to open up this thing at all, boy? Okay, let me try open it one more time. Okay. So this is a historian. His name is just, let me get this thing blocking it. I'm going to, Dr. Claudius Fergus. This is what he had to say. Give me a minute, let me get it open. Every time I try to open it, this thing coming over it, right? So it says here, I'll read it with the dark thing over it, right? The government decision to cancel this year's Independence Day parade and fireworks has been described by historian Dr. Claudius Fergus as a major loss for the nation. Speaking on CNC3 The Morning Brew on Monday, Dr. Fergus questioned the replacement of the parade with a National Day of Prayer and Reflection. The UNC-led administration cited security concerns for high-profile officials as a reason for the change. Dr. Fergus avoided commenting on the political justification, but said the parade carried a significance that should not be overlooked. It's a wonderful spectacle, but Independence parades are particularly important in Trinidad and Tobago because Independence Day falls within the school vacation. Jamaica has a similar situation. Now, most of the other former British ruled colonies that I know about declared independence during the school term. And so it's easy to involve and integrate children into the commemoration of independence in real time. So that the preemptive military display, I think, would affect the way that children feel about independence, he said. He added that while prayers has its place, it cannot carry the same symbolic power as a parade. Prayers as a substitute, I don't think would be adequate in any context. This is a multi-religious society, which means that people come together on occasions for public prayer events, but a substantial proportion of the population would not see any value in prayers as a political celebration. Dr. Fergus said independence is a special opportunity for children to experience patriotism and pride in real time, and called on schools to play a greater role in marking the nation's 63rd year of achievement, including free healthcare, universal secondary and tertiary education, and major infrastructure development. We need to get the children involved, so when school reopens, that one of the things that schools can do, celebrate independence in the same way he said. You don't need military parades. You don't need the guns. Many schools have scout groups, Girl Guides groups, and so on. Also bring a kind of joy. Any uniform procession brings joy to people. So organization can come together and celebrate our independence. So when people like David Nackett scorn what we have, they are people, they are historians, they are people who understand the importance and the significance of a independence parade in any country. So let me continue. So I saw this and I want Nackett to know this must be a PNM supporter out in Japan. Watch it. That's patriotism. That's love of country. Only way in Japan and you hear martial song playing and you're out there as a Trinidadian in the celebration and you have your flag. That's patriotism. That is love. They might say as a PNM supporter. I want all to listen to this.
Them lie, and it good for you. It really good. It real good for you. But anyway, they lie. Nobody want to kill them. Nobody want to kill them. Take it from me. Innocent people getting killed, not them people who pocket fat. Take it from me, damn it, nobody want to kill them. Here the real reason why it have no independence, and this is what I think about it. If all they don't think about it, that is all the business. Is the color red. You see red? The color red is what bothering them. To see everybody in red. Then change the color the flag too. Change the color the flag now. Or they don't do that in County Hilden already. The sign in Sandy Grande. They change it to yellow. So then change the color of the flag too now. Take out the red. Just take out the red. Get rid of the red. You know what for that part? The foot. Change all the blood. Take out the red from all the blood. Take out the red. It's red but and all this, so take out the red. What is really going on in this country? All it for real? All it for real? All it for real in this country? Nobody in have no brain. The headless chickens and them are talking too. You see all your is all your fault. All your fault and all ain't getting nothing and they don't say all ain't getting nothing. And I don't want nothing from them. All ain't getting nothing. All they get fool. And the people who coming up and talking about 9 years, where you get for 9 years. You know what in this country? All is ungrateful people. Who make these top people before? Who build these schools for them? You know why? I think everything just started happening in 1995. All from way back then, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have no schools. All they was going to school in a dirt building. I know where they get all the education either, because from 1995, this is when the country started. That is how they acting. And then from 2010, it start back. Now from 2025, it start back. That is how they acting. Right? 6 years from 1995, 5 years from 1994, I mean from 2010, and from 2025, I know how much years they get here. But they get fool. You understand? All they get food, but it's good. It's good for all you. Don't cry. Don't complain. Just take it. Eat it. It's good. You understand? It's good. Don't complain. Just go along the foot. And Sandy Grande, who praying for that man? Pray for yourself. I from Sandy Grande, yeah? Pray for yourself. Only praying for a man who have more money. The man who carry up all on the motorcade. For the glorious motorcade. Only keep the last motorcade for, you know, campaign motorcade. What they get? What you tell you? He spent enough money behind the election. He spent enough millions. He had no more to spend on all that. What did they get a bottle of water? Who can remember that? And I wasn't even there. I was in the States when that happened and I hear it. Who could come up and say that is a lie? All they get fooled yet. Take that and eat it. You understand? All they have more to get. More to get. More to get. And that Toto mouth man, who want to be the Prime Minister, he need to shut up. Who want to kill you? Who want to kill he? Come on now, let's stop lying. Stop lying to the people. Stop lying. What are you lying for? Just talk the truth. All is gimmick. You always see it. Mr. Manning closed down the sugarcane factory. He paid them. He give them thing. Mr. Pandey come in. He gave them too. These people is the only people who gain in it. And nobody is seeing that. I believe Mr. Rowley come in too and he give them too. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry about that. She come back in 2010. She give them again. Now in 2025, you're giving for the great and great grandchildren. You see all your something wrong with all your people in this country and all they're not thinking. Let me go to a little thing. Where the people for the African race, and all the forefathers plan to and work this country and toil in this country. So how are they standing up to say all they want something? All they take out Emancipation Day because we don't need that. We're not emancipated at all. Please take out Emancipation Day from this country. Let it be a normal day. You understand? All it is the worst. These people alone, again, these workers these workers make Trinidad and Tobago. All we forefathers in make Trinidad and Tobago. Nobody else forefathers in make Trinidad and Tobago. But these alone, these sugarcane workers, them alone gaining. Where's the big high people for emancipated calling for these things? How all them all shut up? Come on. How all quiet? Why are quiet? Say something now. And don't talk about the 9 years. What you think? What you mean you ain't getting nothing for the 9 years? And the people who saying who thief for the 9 years, how we don't have an inquiry for that? They will call inquiry. Believe you me? The bitch will call inquiry. You will see people getting charged. It's lies. All them come out to do is lie. And all it believe these people. But see what? I just sit back and I laughing. That is all I could do, you know. Laugh. And it good for you. It good. Bye.
So, you heard her there. She echoed the sentiments of a lot of people, I'm sure, but saying it good for them. Because people were warned before the April 28th election, they were warned. It had nothing we can tell them that Kamala Persad and the UNC wouldn't do to this country if they get in office. We tell them what they did 2010 to 15, they didn't care. Nobody didn't care about that. All of a sudden, they fed up around. He's a dictator. We suffering the country hard. He's a dictator. The country hard. That was hearing over and over. All that time, cars selling out, feds selling out, groceries selling out, people getting the pay on time, TPEP workers working, your reforestation workers working, LSA workers working, people, things was running. You're getting your money on time, social benefit on time, everything was running. But they say Raleigh was a dictator and he ain't like nobody and PNM ain't do nothing for nobody. All them things they say. Under this government, as they come in, 10,500 workers get sent on one time. And then the count is going on. They say it reach about 25, 30,000 people. But them in wicked. Kamala is not a dictator. She nice. She's with mommy. She's Tanti Kamala. Mommy Kamala tell the begging, oh God, please. I know it's not you, it's a minister. Talk to the ministers and think. I see one of them, you could breathe all up and she knows. If she sneezes, she shower you down with water. All them was a part of the telling people who to vote and they vote and whatever it is. Now today, about 30,000 people lost their jobs. One man take his life. But Kamala is still the best thing. That's what the girl talking there. Really not emancipated. Some way. So, this economist would have said, this was in the Guardian 11 hours ago. Republic Bank economist Gavin Jofield is warning of far-reaching implications for the domestic economy of the revelation that TNT stands to lose US $291.9 million in potential annual export revenue following the imposition of a 15% tariff on its exports to the United States. The revelation came in a Business Guardian exclusive report of analysis conducted by the CARICOM Private Sector Organization, CPSO. Jofield said that beyond the immediate figure lies a host of deeper consequences for the country. Behind those figures of the US 991 million is the loss of foreign exchange earnings, a potential decline in government tax revenue, and sadly, job losses and income reduction for many households, he noted. The broader impact could be a tightening of the already constrained foreign exchange market, which would have a knock-on effect on overall business activities in Trinidad and Tobago, Jofield added. While key commodities such as crude oil and liquefied natural gas are currently exempted from the tariff, the new measure is expected to reduce demand for other local exports, placing pressure on manufacturers and exporters to reassess their strategies. Jofield, though cautious, suggested that the country could treat this setback as an opportunity to reevaluate and pivot. I always say adversity comes with opportunities, he said, adding, this is a chance for companies at the micro level and for the government and broader sectors at a micro level to rethink how we have been approaching export markets. He emphasized the importance of diversifying export destinations, something that has long been on the national agenda. Yes, looking for new export markets is critical. It has been critical for years, and hopefully this development will accelerate the push. We need to deepen our trade relationships with CARICOM, including markets we haven't fully penetrated. Latin America offers promising avenues, as does Africa, where we already have ties with countries like Ghana. There's also Asia, particularly India. Jofield urged stakeholders across sectors to see this as a turning point. Let me see. If there were ever a time to act on diversifying our export base, it is now. The challenge is clear, but so too is the opportunity. For international relations expert Dr. Anthony Gonzalez, the estimate of the almost 300 US million loss remains speculative without a detailed breakdown of trade flows and tariff structures. What is clear, he said, is that the sectors likely to be hardest hit include chemicals, metal exports, and non-energy manufactured goods. We have benefited significantly from the Caribbean Basin Initiative, which granted many of our products duty-free access to the US. If that window is narrowing, then the adjustment could be painful, especially for our smaller exporters. Gonzalez noted that small and medium-sized manufacturers in food and beverage space, particularly those servicing diaspora markets in the US, could face a steep climb to remain competitive, right? So they said that everybody, not everybody now, the economists in this country who are seeing what a 15% tariff will do on us. But listen to Kamala Prasad, he says that.
My friends, I want to tell you, jobs are coming your way. Do not fear. CPEP and URP and what, that is not the job for everyone. Yes, we need grass cutters. But there are jobs there for everyone. Let me tell you what has been happening in the public sector. Every minister will come to you and tell you in their ministry the number of vacancies in the public service. They left those jobs unfilled. Why did they do that? Because they wanted to give you make-work programs. Make-work programs, you know what? It's another kind of slavery. So when you stand and you sing free at last and it's emancipation, they were putting you into another dependency syndrome of another kind of slavery. Imagine people working in CPEP for 10 years at minimum wage. We have a mandate to fill all the vacancies across the public service, to create more meaningful jobs, to allow the average citizen to earn more, to advance your education, your skills, and careers. so you don't get stuck in a CPEP syndrome for 10 years. That puts you in an oppressed position that you have to depend on some political pappy to give you a hand down. That's not a hand up, that is a hand down to keep you forever dependent. None of the politicians and commentators speaking glowingly about URP and CPEP mention what? The low wages, the lack of job security, absence of vacation leave, absence of maternity leave, severance or union representation. That's what those jobs were. No one speaks about the starvation wages of these programs and the inability to get a loan from any institution based on working there. No one mentions the sexual exploitation of women in these programs. No one mentions the criminal activity. No one mentions the ghost gangs and the use of the program for political support. All these commentators and bleeding hearts pretending that they care. Politicians who endorse grass cutting, cleaning drains, they do so because it's not them, it is not them nor their children, remember that, doing that work. They like it for you and your children, not for them and their children, remember that. The PNM gave away our country to the 1%, remember that. The same PNM now crying for you to stay and cut grass. Same crying for you to have work on starvation wages. They gave away billions of dollars to the 1% mafia, while you and your children must cut grass. Remember that. The former Prime Minister said, not the one-day Prime Minister, the one before him, he said, the rich will get richer. Rich, don't forget, the rich will get richer. Did you know the entire Invaders Bay foreshore has been given away? Over 100 acres given away next to the airport. Billions in CRICO assets given away. Billions in contracts have been gifted to a few contractors whose work has failed. Billions given away to lawyers, to accounting firms, to consultants, but you must collect a CPEP wage. That will not continue.
So there are a couple of things that the Prime Minister would have said. And I think if he could lie about one thing, then he could lie about everything. First of all, she said that Dr. Oli said the rich ones get rich. He said there's nothing wrong with the rich getting richer, but when they get rich, they pull up the poor, because what they do, they create employment and space, and when that section come up, then they pull up an next one, like what he was saying. And is it true? Who does hire the poor? The poor does hire the poor. So if the rich get money and have money, will they not create employment? And that has happened. The stores and them in Port of Spain. You think it's poor people had the stores? The food places, rituals and KFC and all that. Who own them? So if they're making money and they could be able to hire more people to work for them and create more employment. So that's what Dr. Oli was speaking about. That's how society does be. The rich get richer and they pull up the poor. So what is the issue with that? Then she said about giving the PNM giving contract to their favorite country. Madam Prime Minister, look at the beaten situation that Stuart Young is asking you all about. The Beetham wastewater project that only gave all the favorite contractor money to build millions and millions of dollars, and it wasn't completed. And now there's some type of case or something where I think it is alleged, I think I see it was asking questions, because Member of Parliament for Port of Spain was sentence was asking questions, what is the status of that case with regards to the money, because the job wasn't finished and money was given. So we're talking about. Then I'm going to go on to this, but this grass cutter situation. Madam Prime Minister, your ancestors came from, your Dalit ancestors came from India, 1845. They came from Bihar. Bihar is where a lot of Indian laborers came from, the Dalits. They came here and they were cutting grass. And as a young lady in the video said, when Karen was closed down, them grass cutters, They get money. In fact, they get the highest retrenchment package ever in the Commonwealth. They get money under Manning, they get money under Dr. Rowley as Minister of Agriculture. He write off billions of dollars in debt from the grass cutters in Caroni. Mr. Pandey, they get Ting, and they come in 2025, now they get 200 leases. When they go done, it's like the Indian guy in Canada saying, this sense of entitlement. You all are not entitled to that. Anybody entitled to get money from cutting grass in Caroni is African people. So when I talk about grass cutters in this disdainful, this kind of disdain way and disrespectful way, your great-great-grandmother used to cut grass too. When they go to pull rice, where rice is in the swamp, we're pulling where rice is, not a grass. So what is the insult to talk about grass cutters? Because them same grass cutters just keep the environment clean. And about cleaning canal, you go and clean canal. It have a job for everybody. That means to say to demean them. If the garbage man who I just call sanitation engineers, they pick up the garbage will let us straw, old pad, old food, old this, old that, and smell and stink with worms and all that. If them in come with the garbage truck and pick it up, how this country will be. So don't demean nobody that jobs didn't, because everybody's job is important. But you only want to talk about grass cutters, yes, we cut grass. All of us cutting grass too. And before they come, we was cutting grass and we get nothing for it. And if now we getting something for cutting the grass, small as it is, left we to cut the grass. But you're talking about the poor and all that. But you know the poor and disadvantage and this and that. But you take away all the job and talking about sexual thing in the well now self they go have sexual abuse because they didn't have no money to defend themselves, to get the rent pay. They might have to pass the punky in order to get the rent pay because they didn't have no money. They might have to pass the punky to get a little money, to buy something for the children who crying they're hungry. You ain't studying that. The little CPAP work used to keep them from having to do them kind of thing because they get a little money and they do the little hustle. So they buy a little thing, they sell a little thing, and when a cigarette, this, that, whatever the case may be, and they can handle the stories while they look for something. No, they have nothing to look for. And finally, let me come to this. CPAP workers and all who rely off don't let come up and start assessing the Honorable Prime Minister fool all you. The only way that they're talking about filling the vacancy in the public service is if they put on one set of contract work. And if they give people one set of contract work, it means the public officers in the public service will be out of our work. Who does staff the ministries and them is service commission. I have people in ministries who acting for years who they're supposed to be filling the vacant position. So it's not that they have to get new workers to fill the position. It already have workers in the ministries who act in the position, and they just need to make them permanent in the position. So let's talk about shortage. It's not really a shortage. It's a matter of people acting in this position and they haven't been made permanent by service commission. And then some people applying service commission, they ain't get work yet. So when you take those who are already working in the position and you appoint them in the position, then you have vacancy and service commission will fill those vacancies. Stop fooling the CPAP workers and them, but they were getting government job to work. You have to have, when you apply to service commission, you have to have some passes. You have to have something. And I'm not crying down on CPAP workers, but plenty of them don't have any passes. Plenty of them must finish school. How are you going to get them into the government service? Yeah? And even if you get them contract, the contract has to be based on the resume, on the academic qualifications. So why are you fooling people about that? It has some people, the jobs that they will do is CPAP jobs. Some of them URP jobs. Some of them will be cleaners. Some of them will be maids. Some of them will be ironing in people's homes. Some of them will be cleaning people's homes. Some of them will be pressing people's clothes. Some will be looking after people's children. That is how the world is. That is just how it is. Because there's somebody for every job and they could always move up to the next level. Some people just, they remain there, and it's not because they find the job they're doing is so lowly or not. They enjoy it. It has some people love ironing clothes. It has some people love cleaning. It has some people love babysitting. So stop fooling the workers after you abuse them. That's my opinion. That all they're playing all this savior now. So after you abuse them, fire 10,500 CPAP workers, pull the rug under the foot just so they don't have money to send their children to school, money to pay rent, money to buy food, money to do nothing. And you're talking about you will get them in the public service because the jobs that PNM had them doing is cutting grass and they did for years and all that. But at least they was doing something. So just as the girls say in the video, where she talking about the reason why they didn't want to have the independence parade, and she opinion is because of the fact that the red and all that. And she said it. And she was saying the little thing, all they get fool. All they get fool. Don't let Kamala Persaud the Honorable Prime Minister continue to fool all here. What ministry are they going to get in? What contract they could give out? Like how they do last time, 2010 to 15, they bring in one set of BOAs in the system and contract. Business operation assistant or something. So doing the same work that the clerks and the typists in the ministry is doing. Those who came from Service Commission, bringing all them on contract, take over all the work, and the remainder for 10 years and 15 years and all kind of thing. Competitive and getting more money than the public service workers who come from Service Commission. Why ain't try to fix that? Well, they get foolish. Why didn't start negotiation yet and start it on not less than 10%? They so care about we. You talking about care? You care about people? You care about people? All they care about people? Look, all they could fool some of the people some of the time, not all the people all the time. No? So let me continue. So, I see some sando fishermen are appealing to the government. This was 22 hours ago in The Guardian. We have set up sando fishermen appeal to PM after party board dispute. Fishermen in San Fernando are calling on Prime Minister Kamala Persaud to rein in Agriculture, Land and Fisheries Minister Ravi Ratiram, who they accuse of allowing a party boat operator to use the San Fernando Fishing Center for private events. During a peaceful protest at King's Wharf yesterday, San Fernando Fishing Cooperative Society Limited President Bobby Suklal Singh said a privately owned vessel has been moored at the facility for more than a month. Built for fisher folk, the jetty has now become the center of a bitter dispute. Suklal Singh said when the society inquired about the boat, they were told that the operator had permission to use the jetty. He recalled that the cooperative previously clashed with the same vessel at the old facility and noted that the area it now occupies is meant for larger fishing boats. He questioned why a party boat was allowed while some 20 registered fishermen were denied moorings until they receive official numbers. The facility was not designed for party boats. It is a security risk. It is a security risk too because you have party goers consuming alcohol. You do not know what can happen. The place is fenced and has security. So we want to know who is securing these people, who is looking after them, Suklal Singh said. Fishermen claimed that last Saturday, a party was hosted on the vessel where patrons fought as they returned to the jetty. They also claimed that the operator staff bullied fishermen and complaints were lodged with the fisheries division. Another party is advertised for August 31st. At no time were we informed that the party boat would be coming here and we were supposed to share it with a private entity. This is a man's private and personal vessel. Every vessel here we register with the government. Suklal Singh noted that the other party boats operates elsewhere along the waterfront without issues. Cooperative Vice President Clayton Lalchan alleged that Custom and Excise, Coast Guard, and police officers once attempted to remove the vessel but stopped after a minister intervened. Everything we are saying here is going directly to the Prime Minister now because we are fed up. We sent emails to the PS, the Minister, the MP, and all who we think we could think of. We are trying to go the right way, but we are not getting any answers. I voted. Where are my rewards? Not because people campaign with you all owe them anything. He's already a director in the carnival thing. Whatever you owe him, you already give him that, Lochan claimed. He suggested that the operator buy waterfront land and build a party jetty or use the floating pontoons at the water taxi terminal. Veteran fisherman Randall Jagan recalled returning from sea around 7 p.m. last Saturday and finding the jetty clogged with vehicles from the party. When you ask them to move, they said they have permission from the boss so they could park anywhere. They just block up everything. I had to beg someone to move their vehicle so I could take my gas and equipment from my boat, which I found unfair. They actually commanded the whole jetty, Jagan said. Lolchan said we are now appealing directly to Prasad Bisesa. In my opinion, if the minister allowed this to happen without the prime minister knowing anything, then this needs to be replaced, he claimed. Lolchan added, how can we put a party boat in the middle of a fishing facility? I'm coming to go to sea and I see party boats. And I have to ask for an excuse because I want to pass with my bag of ice. What will they do to me? Suklal Singh said the society, which has over 100 boats, wrote to the ministry about the issues but received no response. Guardian Media attempted to contact Ratiram for comment, but there was no response up to yesterday evening. Party boat and somebody get on a board for carnival. I wonder who can that be? So let me continue. So we have some development in the Caribbean waters. Let me see if I can play something here. People, we might go a little late tonight, It's Friday. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Let's see. I want you all to listen to this.
So I hereby once again clearly call for the removal of Cuba from that list of state sponsors of terrorism because there's no justification or evidence or basis for such a listing.
Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Amy Brown restating this country's support for Cuba. This on the day declared as Cuba CARICOM Day Against Terrorism. The minister joined the Cuban ambassador, the Trinidad and Tobago Friends of Cuba, and others at the Piarco International Airport to remember and honor the victims of the bombing of Cubana Airlines Flight 455. Leader of the Movement for Social Justice, David Abdullah, shared the link Trinidad and Tobago had to the incident.
The perpetrators of that crime were arrested at what was then Holiday Inn by members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And the commissioner today may not be aware of all those details. But there were two police officers who were not friends of the progressive movement, I could say that, in Trinidad and Tobago, but then Inspector Superintendent Randolph Burrows and Senior Superintendent Dennis Randwa were the ones who arrested and interrogated the two terrorists who placed the bombs on the Cubana Flight 455.
Calling the incident one of the most cruel events in the history of the Cuban Revolution, Ambassador Gustavo Feliz Olivares noted unfortunately it is not the only one. He was grateful for the support offered by Caribbean neighbors.
On behalf of Cuban people and the family of the victims, we send the solidarity of the Caribbean countries expressed over the years. Our gratitude to the government of Trinidad and Tobago for supporting the police investigation into Barbados crime. In particular, allow me to thank Prime Minister Dr. Kiruli and Foreign Minister Dr. Amy Brown for their statement against the blockade and the Cuban inclusion on the list of terrorist countries in international forums.
As he recognized Cuba's plight, Minister Brown acknowledged their fortitude.
I also want to commend the government and people of Cuba for their resilience in the face of acts of terror such as the one that occurred in 1976, and also for their resilience in the face of a very unjust embargo, which I know and I've seen with my own eyes has put tremendous pressure on ordinary people trying to live their lives and raise their families in Cuba.
He said we will continue to honor the memory of those who have fallen and the need to maintain the Caribbean as a zone of peace. Stacey Ann Providence for TDT News.
Right, you hear that word? The Caribbean, a zone of peace. We have always been our brothers and sisters keeping the Caribbean a zone of peace. And you saw the then Minister of CARICOM and Foreign Affairs, Dr. Amy Brown. Yeah, you can say a lot of things about him, but he carried that office with confidence, knowing the subject matter, and understanding the dynamics in our Caribbean waters, right? So that was at a memorial day for an incident that happened in Cuba. And then remember recently we had the situation where the Caribbean countries that had Cuban medical professionals in it, that America was saying it, paraphrasing it, people, it was like they working, they're being abused and looking for small money and that kind of thing, whatever. And because of that, they were coming down on, again, I'm putting it my way, coming down on Caribbean countries that had Cuban doctors and that kind of thing. It came to issue, they were talking about visa, whatever, the restriction. And our Dr. Rowley at the time, being Prime Minister, said, well, basically saying, again, paraphrasing, they could take away my visa, you know. And some Caribbean leaders would have stood, I think, in solidarity with that. I am seeing here that August the 21st, 2025, in a press release, the news today, former Finance Minister Dennis Cornwell is the first government official in Grenada to be hit by Washington's decision to target government leaders in the Caribbean on the Cuban Medical Brigade issue. High-level sources told the news today that all three U.S. visas, B1, B2, and A1, held by the senior government minister has been revoked by the U.S. government of President Donald Trump. She also said that the U.S. government also withheld the visa issued to Ophelia Cornwell, the estranged wife of Minister Cornwell. Ophelia Cornwell is now separated from the Congress government minister and is known to be the new mistress of former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell and the opposition New National Party. Of the opposition New National Party. Oh God, they need to put that song so crass. You want to put Ophelia Cornwell is now separated from the Congress government minister and is known to be the new mistress of former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell of the opposition New National Party. According to the source, the 3-year-old government of Prime Minister Dixon Mitchell in St. George's has been officially notified about the withdrawal of the U.S. visas to both Cornwell's and his former wife. During a recent sitting in Parliament, Minister Cornwell stated openly that he preferred to lose his U.S. visa and stand in solidarity with Cuba on the medical brigade issue. Right? So you see that happening there. And listen to this now. So this was 22 hours ago in The Guardian. Venezuela, China, and ALBA condemns U.S. naval action. As this country government remains silent on the impending United States naval presence in the waters off the coast of Venezuela, the Venezuelan government is pleading or pledging a peaceful approach to this developing situation. In a statement yesterday, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela said, while Washington threatens Venezuela advances firmly in peace and sovereignty, demonstrating that true effectiveness against crime is achieved by respecting the independence of peoples. However, Venezuela argues that this perceived threat from the US jeopardizes the peace and stability of the entire region. The United States has deployed the USS San Antonio, USS Iowa Gema, and USS Fort Lauderdale to Venezuela's coast. The vessels are reportedly carrying 4,500 US service members, including 2,200 Marines. The Trump administration says that this is part of a campaign against Latin America drug cartel. Washington accuses President Nicolas Maduro and his allies of drug trafficking, though through the so-called cartel of Sons recently doubled the reward for his capture to 50 million. In response, Maduro has mobilized over 4,500 million militant members to defend Venezuela's sovereignty, dismissing U.S. claims as baseless and warning that the impending American military buildup threatens regional stability. Efforts to get a response from Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar and Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Sean Sobers yesterday were unsuccessful. But the Venezuelan government, in a statement, said it sees the Trump administration move as a desperate one. Washington accusing Venezuela of drug trafficking reveals its lack of credibility and the failure of its policies in the region, the statement said. Venezuela added that since the expulsion of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, from its country in 2005, the country has achieved overwhelming results in the fight against organized crime, which includes successful arrests, dismantling of networks, and effective control of border and coast. The result of the efforts and commitment of our institutions and the Venezuelan people. Venezuela believes the U.S. military presence is putting the stability of the entire region at risk, and the people of the Republic of China agrees. Affirming its support for the Latin American nation yesterday, Mao Ying, spokesman for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, said, China opposes any action that contravenes the purpose and principles of the UN Charter and infringes on the sovereignty and security of other countries. Ning added, we oppose any use or threat of force in international relations, and we firmly oppose interference in Venezuela's internal affairs by external forces under any pretext. Ning said China is hoping the US will adopt measures that are more conducive to peace and security in the Latin American Caribbean region. Venezuela's government has expressed deep appreciation for this support from China. Following Ning's statement, the Venezuelan government said, on behalf of President Nicolas Maduro, we want to express our sincerest gratitude to the People's Republic of China for its firm rejection of US interventionism in Venezuela and the threat of the use of force that seeks to transform our region, which has been declared a zone of peace, into a new stage of colonial war. Meanwhile, an intergovernmental organization of Latin American Caribbean nations called ALBA, or the Bolivarian Alliance for the People of America, has denounced what it described as a renewed aggression by the US against Latin America and the Caribbean. ALBA is rejecting what is called the US flagrant violation of international law and a threat to regional peace. The ALBA members include Antigua and Barbuda, Bulgaria, Cuba, Dominica, Grenada, Nicaragua, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, and Venezuela. In a written statement, ALBA said it met virtually for its 13th Extraordinary Summit, and its leaders reaffirmed their commitment to the proclamation of the Latin American Caribbean as a zone of peace, which was adopted by CELAC, that's the Community of Latin America and Caribbean States, in 2014. The media release said they declared full support for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, rejecting what they call groundless mythomaniacal accusation with no legal basis. Use that's not the whole thing going. Just no. Right. The media release said they declared full support for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, rejecting, oh gosh, that's what they call groundless mythomaniacal accusation with no legal basis used to delegitimize sovereign governments. Alba also used the opportunity to condemn the U.S. economic blockade of China, calling it harmful to the well-being of its people and contrary to international law. The group backed a call from Colombia's president for an urgent meeting of regional foreign ministers to establish a joint sovereign response to threats against Venezuela and to any interventionist action that could destabilize the region. The statement added that true peace must come from social justice, respect from sovereignty, and self-determination. It warned that in the face of imperialism, violence, and blockades, Alba nation will follow the path of Simon Bolivar, Jose Marte, Hugo Chavez, and Fidel Castro to protect the region and ensure it remains a zone of peace and coexistence. Listen to what our foreign affairs minister said. What do you think is? The joke, yes. Director, I ain't seeing the thing, you know. If you listen, pay it up for me now. Pay it up for me now. I ain't
Good
seeing.
afternoon. I'm Doris Polo with headline news on CNC3 and the TBC radio network. Foreign Affairs Minister Sean Sobers says this country will be staying out of the current impasse between the United States and Venezuela, as he urged the population to put aside any fear amid the ongoing tensions. And while some CARICOM neighbors and Latin American countries have condemned the presence of the U.S. Navy near Venezuela as a threat to regional peace and stability, the minister rejects that view. He also wants law-abiding people to know they have nothing to fear.
I would tell them that they are safe. I suspect that they are all, or they should all be operating on the right side of the law. And once they are doing so, there's no need for concern. There's absolutely no need for any concern, panic, worry, trepidation. If that thought ever enters anyone's mind, they should perish it immediately.
A senior prison official was arrested by police last night after a preventative detention order was issued.
Okay. You listen to what our Honorable Foreign Affairs Minister said. This man is saying, once he would basically, once he within the law, you don't have to worry, and he don't agree with the other cabinet. How long has he been a foreign affairs minister? He know anything about the Caribbean and what we have fought for and doing it with peace and recognizing sovereignty? Or is it he shares the view of his prime minister? Where, like, to them, sovereignty is nothing. Because remember, when they would have written to Bondello for America to put sanction on we and do this and do that, is that is he thinking? Or is it that they think America so love he and love we that America go care about we? This man is telling we don't have nothing to worry about. Based on who? Based on you saying that, Honorable Minister, that we are nothing to worry about. So the rest of the Caribbean, we have concerns about this move because we are a state of peace. The rest of them big country, Colombia and all them other Latin American countries, who are concerned. You saying that not for me to worry about and all that. What's that? So let me just play for you the conversation that we have always had about the Caribbean being a zone of peace, and we'd like it to remain like that. Not just me as an ordinary citizen, but different leaders of the Caribbean and Latin America. So listen.
On the CELAC Summit's final day in Havana, a call for peace among all nations of the region. Leaders across the political spectrum welcomed the message, and some had specific conflicts in mind. Colombia's right-wing president was hopeful that ongoing peace talks would finally put an end to 50 years of civil war in his country.
I'm optimistic that if we continue as we're going, that the next summit in Costa Rica, we'll be able to say that the armed conflict in Colombia is over.
In a moment of levity, Chile's outgoing conservative president made a dig about communist Cuba's relinquishing the CELAC presidency. On his first official visit to Cuba, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon offered support for Cuba's economic reforms. But with dozens of dissidents being detained in the days leading up to the summit, he said the country needs to do more.
I emphasize the importance of playing a greater role in enhancing human rights and providing spaces for peoples for right to peaceful assembly and association, and the cases of arbitrary detention occurring in Cuba.
CELAC does not include the U.S. or Canada. Only 2 years old, the bloc has positioned itself as an alternative to the Organization of American States. A 66-year-old group seen to be under heavy influence from Washington. With the U.S. absent, some leaders made veiled criticisms of its meddling in the region. Others were more explicit.
If spying is needed for the international community's security, I propose that we all spy on Obama and his government, and then the world will be safe.
While the leaders from these 33 countries ended the summit on a need of peace and harmony, it's unclear how long such unity will last, especially in a region where sometimes minor disputes flare up into tense standoffs between neighbors. Adam Rainey, Al Jazeera, Havana.
Our Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs says, don't worry about that, we're staying out of the line of business, basically. Didn't hear that President Maduro has garnered 4.5 million militia? That is almost 5 times the population of Trinidad and Tobago. Venezuela is so much miles from here, 7 miles or something, or 9 miles or something. So you could stand up in Cedros and look across and see people walking in Venezuela. American ship in we waters, not we waters of Venezuela, border waters. And our minister, foreign affairs, that doesn't really, don't worry yourself. No, sir, I don't. You couldn't make up these things. Everybody in the Caribbean speaking about this is a zone of peace. Look at the issue between Venezuela and Guyana that was heating up. It's the Caribbean CARICOM went to St. Vincent, where Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, organized this mediation process. Our Prime Minister was the only Prime Minister of Caribbean went there with Nicolas Maduro and President Ibrahim. And they work out that situation with the Equibo. When it looked like Ting was going to happen, we walk out with Ting because we're a place of peace. And this, listen to this, people. I know to look.
2 days of discussion behind closed doors ended with this news conference, where the members of CARICOM made public their positions, strategies, and forecasts.
2 days of intensive discussion. I think the meeting was very successful in covering a number of areas. CSME, we also had an agreement on the return and sharing of recovered assets, which was open for signature. It's one of the tools in our arsenal to fight against transnational crime in our community. We took stock generally on matters pertaining to where we are on the CSME and other areas such as transportation.
It is important for us to understand that the blacklisting of countries impact negatively on the risk profile of countries, and it does in fact reputational damage.
The final day of the summit in St. Kitts and Nevis had begun with a push to reassert CARICOM's long-standing position in favor of a peaceful sovereign solution in Venezuela.
Respecting the sovereignty of the people of Venezuela and for the Venezuelans to resolve the issues on their own, to come up with their own Venezuelan accord, and that there should be no form of military intervention in Venezuela. So we're hoping that the parties concerned will utilize their best efforts to come to the table, to talk, to use diplomacy and dialogue in resolving this issue.
For the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, only dialogue can overcome the differences.
The statement makes the point that there has to be a settlement on the basis of the established principles of the United Nations Charter: non-intervention, non-interference, questions relating to the rule of law, the matter of human rights and democracy. All the questions which we have emphasized over and over, so that we can use those as the basis for which we can have a good conversation, a fruitful dialogue between the contending forces.
The priority was to maintain a consensus that would allow the 14 members of CARICOM to preserve the Caribbean as a region of peace.
Everybody talking a region of peace. We foreigners, we are not to worry about it, man. We saying out of that. Yeah, and he said, well, he's going to call up CARICOM. He's going to check, listen to this. What
now, in this context, to see Latin America and the Caribbean as a continent of peace, and to see that when a problem arises, and recently we had one with two neighbors, Guyana and Venezuela, there is a mediator that emerges and is able to bring the parties together and to avoid a conflict. It is absolutely essential that there is not only a much bigger ambition in relation to the reduction of emissions, and that is essentially a responsibility of the G20 countries that represent 80% of the emissions. But we need much more climate justice, which means much more finance available at reasonable cost for adaptation and mitigation for developing countries, and in particular for small island developing states.
Everybody talking about a zone of peace. Listen to me, I'm not clean. Prime Minister
It is my view that in the absence of an international rules-based order, and we are seeing it being threatened day by day, in the absence of an international rules-based order, countries such as ours will find it difficult to survive. And this, my friends, is the first real threat that we have had since becoming independent nations. The notion that others may want to conquer again is not beyond their imagination and not beyond our reality. But equally, the price of sovereignty is no longer simply that which we have started to do in the first 2 or 3 generations since independence. The price of sovereignty now extends to our ability to control our information and to generate our content. We have to be able to own our own satellites and not be the victim of somebody pulling them on us because they do not like the position we took on a war across the world somewhere or someplace. We have to generate our own content because it is only us who know our reality, and we cannot simply be the victims of other people's judgment as to who we are and what we stand for. And if we don't do these things, then we will fail to recognize that the new Armada and the new flotilla are not the ships that came and brought our forefathers here under protest. But in fact, the new Armada and the new flotilla is that which will control our mind. And we know what Marcus Messiah Garvey told us about emancipating our mind from mental slavery. If ever there was a time for us to listen to these entreaties, it is now.
Yeah? Everybody talking, this is a zone of peace. They talk to they ask our honorable Foreign Affairs Minister. And if all we say no to that, we get involved in that, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago got nothing to worry about. You ain't even reiterate that this has been a zone of peace, and you hope that in that thing that all sovereignties are recognized, and nothing. Listen to Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has acknowledged that tensions between Venezuela and the United States are a cause for concern. U.S. President Donald Trump has vowed to send a fleet of warships to the region to curb alleged illicit drug shipments by the Venezuelan government. But at Monday's press conference, the Prime Minister said the Caribbean region remains a zone of peace.
Our position on the other people's position, our position remains the same. Trinidad and Tobago is part of CARICOM, and we resolutely defend that position, saying that we view the Caribbean as a zone of peace. That has not changed, and we do not expect it to change. So if there are others who believe that it should be different, we don't have any control over that. And insofar as we have any involvement, we continue to reside under the umbrella of the United Nations.
That's Dr. Rowley there. That was, I think, in 2019. If I'm not mistaken, or it could have been a little after that. This is Dr. Rowley today, August the 22nd. Former Prime Minister, this was a part of CNC3. Former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has called on the government of Trinidad and Tobago to defend the country's sovereignty and uphold CARICOM's commitment to the Caribbean as a zone of peace, as reports surface of a United States Naval Armada sailing closer to the region. Dr. Rowley said in a Facebook post that the situation represents a test of leadership for the government, stressing that it must not be found wanting in the face of what he described as an adventurous military incursion into regional waters. The former Prime Minister accused the government of hypocrisy, recalling that while in opposition, they had, in his words, actively undermined CARICOM's diplomatic efforts to avoid foreign-imposed regime change in Venezuela. He pointed out that their criticisms of Trinidad and Tobago's approach at the United Nations, where his administration had advocated for multilateralism and respect of the UN Charter, and their dismissal of diplomatic initiatives with countries such as Mexico, Norway, South Africa, Uruguay, and the African Union. Dr. Rowley further accused opposition figures of supporting the recognition of Juan Guaido as interim president of Venezuela by the US, Canada, and European allies, and of calling for sanctions against Trinidad and Tobago government ministers, including himself and then Minister of Energy. Now that the chickens have come home to roost, Dr. Rowley said, the questions for the people of Trinidad and Tobago is whether it is better to follow unpatriotic opposition fully or to maintain sovereignty and diplomatic self-interest in government. We are waiting to see if our leaders have the results or if they even have a functioning tongue. Dr. Rowley comments came as regional leaders continue to monitor US military movements and their potential impact on Caribbean stability. But our Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and CARICOM Affairs just simply say, we are nothing to worry about once you're within the law, you're nothing to worry about. As if it comes down to what within the law. We are sovereign countries in the Caribbean, sir. Up to now, the Prime Minister is saying nothing. Is it because you all fully support America? Just asking a question. Or they don't care about sovereignty. I just asking a question. Because you're sounding dumb. You sound dumb, Honorable Minister. You sound dumb. So Dr. Rowley said that. And this is what former Minister of Energy and Prime Minister Stuart Young also would have said. Ria Tate wrote it, the political editor, this is August the 22nd, 2025. The CARICOM region is recognized as a zone of peace, and it is critical that this be maintained, former Prime Minister Stuart Young said yesterday. He was commenting on reports that 3 United States warships were ordered to deploy off the coast of Venezuela and would arrive by the weekend, as the US government moves to curb drug trafficking by crime cartels, while at the same time increasing pressure on the Nicolas Maduro government. The recent developments being reported by international media should be of concern to all citizens, and I dare say to the region. CARICOM and our region is a recognized zone of peace, and it's critical that this be maintained. Trinidad and Tobago has consistently respected and upheld the principles of non-intervention and non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries, and for good reason. I trust that our allies will also respect and uphold these principles, Young stated. Trinidad and Tobago Ambassador to CARICOM, Ralph Murad, said in a brief comment, I am sure all those involved in illegal activities, politicians, drug traffickers, etc., must be very concerned. And you see the asinine thing from this man to me does look like if rum cure him. This Ralph Murad, that is my opinion. He looks as if he cured by rum. You see the asinine, in my opinion, statement he making is the same sentiment that the Minister of Foreign Affairs and CARICOM Affairs would have said, but in different words. This don't simply have to do, in my opinion, with anything about illegal activity and all that. It has to do with the fact we hope that people recognizes other countries' sovereignty. That is the main thing. And that we are a zone of peace, because we recognize each other's sovereignty, because each country have their law and their constitution. That is what the issue is. CARICOM yesterday remained silent in the face of the latest developments. The current chairman of CARICOM is Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Caribbean sources expressed surprise that no meeting had been convened to discuss this issue. One Caribbean source suggested that the United States was weaponizing its visa system. The source pointed out that the US yesterday withdrew the visa of Grenadian Finance Minister Dennis Cornwall. Cornwall said in a recent sitting in Parliament that he preferred to lose his US visa and stand in solidarity with Cuba on the issue of the medical assistance program. The visa have come out, well, I read that already, and so that is what we have here. This time, CARICOM came out strong. At that time, CARICOM came out strongly against the issue of any military confrontation with Venezuela and insisting the region should remain a zone of peace. Look at Ralph's face. But nothing to make it feel to vomit, yes, that's in my opinion, boy. So we have all that happening. We haven't heard anything from our Honorable Prime Minister, Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar. We heard a weak, insipid response, in my opinion, from the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and CARICOM Affairs. We heard Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and MP Stuart Young both coming out and speaking strongly on the fact that we are sovereign territory and we are a space of peace, and that people's sovereignty country sovereignty must be respected. We also yet to hear from the opposition leader and political leader, the People's National Movement, and those who support no matter what, even if they know that she's weak, that she's unable to lead and do it effectively. But in my opinion, because they could get something, and pushing this Black Party dotishness in a cosmopolitan country form a Black organization to see what Black people, I all for that. But when they talk about governing a country that have different races, despite who have a larger number and who have a larger number, it have diverse people in our society. I'm talking about a Black party. Those things can't exist in this modern world. So I continue to say, the opposition leader has not shown where she could handle this situation. I'll tell you why I'm saying these things. When you look at things in retrospect, you can see that Dr. Rowley led with a firm hand. There was discipline, there was order. Now, under her leadership, it is no discipline and order. Anybody that's talk. And she does just operate as if she's the master of ceremony. She does introduce them. When press conference, she introduces them. Have a table, sit at the table, sit in the middle, have the mic there, and have the ministers who have to speak there. So when it's their time to speak, the mic just move there. Instead of get up and running, all these things don't look good. And all who supporting it, that is their right to support you. That is their fundamental and democratic right to support you. Nobody vexed about that. And it's just the same when we have a right to support who we feel to support. But the difference between we and all you, because it comes into we and all you, based on all the behavior, is we are forcing nobody to support who we support or to like who we like. But all you want is force people to support who all they support and who all they like. And that is wrong. Because in my opinion, plenty always say that she weak before she even come into this position, while she was minister at this time, always say she weak and ineffective. Ask her again why Mr. Manning had she in the political graveyard or cemetery or whatever for 9 years. Ask. These things are important to ask. Ask what her role in that situation in Arima when she named Lezama, the Lezama one. Lorelei Lezama, whatever she named, was going up as a member of parliament for that area. What was she role in the campaign about don't vote for this one, don't vote? What is her role? These things are important. And yes, she's a nice lady. Oh God, we tired here that, we see that, we know that. A nice lady alone ain't gonna run nothing because she's a Black woman and she did a long time. That is not enough in this geopolitical time. You see what's happening there right now in we space where she voiced to say something. She can't think of she put that all, you know. If she does something right down and reading from it, she can't stay in that brave. She can't. That is what all you want to go forward this new PNM. Look at here what a situation up in a constituency. A young one he up and down, posturing himself as the next member of parliament and the member of parliament to win she seat. Who does win by the most votes? Most of the time. You all over parading like you is a member of parliament. That thing is disrespect. All I want to disrespect everybody. I want people to respect all you. So all you alone can do all you want. Say all you want. Support all you want. But nobody else must fall in line. So disrespect the elders. Disrespect people. And cool. But as you say something about the opposition leader, political leader, that's weak. Which is a fact. Not physically weak, but weak in speech, weak in management, weak in leadership. She is weak. You could see it. And this conversation about allowing people to talk and that is okay, but it must have a structure and an order. And how I see it in an order is the night in the meeting up in MP Dominic Romaine constituency, the recent one day. When you come up to speak, you're supposed to be the one that come into So after we hear Faris Alwari, fire. We hear Comembird, fire. We hear Brian Manning, fire. We hear Hans Devines, fire. When you come now, you're the one coming to, you're the showstopper. You come up and ball, well, everything I did plan to say, them done say it already. Jesus, Lord have mercy. And they just give information with no, even when they say, well, you balling great as the pain, and people getting up and walking out. Or they don't watch them things. Or let's just focus on, we like she deserves to be there. She's a woman, she's a black woman, or I could get something. That's what we focus on alone. Or let's see the mess that we're going into and could come into. Or then focus on Trinidad and Tobago and the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They just focus on what all they could get and all their ambition. That is what it's about. So when we and people like me speak about the opposition leader and the people's makes their life and talking as a gubar, and I want to ask the opposition leader and political leader here tonight, if she condones her supporter in the things she should be saying when she make life. I want the opposition leader, the political leader, People's National Movement to say whether she condone those things. Because you don't see no supporter or nobody else behaving like that. So I want her to tell the people who support the PNM if she condone that behavior, if that is done with her approval, and if that is the new PNM. Let me just bring back this to memory.
PNM leader Dr. Keith Rowley says let his record speak for itself. This as he prepares to contest the post of political leader in the PNM internal elections. Penelope Beckles-Robinson will be his main challenger for the position of political leader. Melissa Dasrath has more.
Rumors have been swirling for some time that Lady Vice Chairman of the People's National Movement, Penelope Beckles-Robinson, would challenge Dr. Keith Rowley in the party's internal elections to be the next political leader. Although Ms. Beckles-Robinson has not publicly announced her intentions, on Tuesday she did confirm in an executive meeting at the PNM constituency office in Arima that she would contest the post. On Wednesday night, during a political meeting in Belmont, Dr. Rowley welcomed the competition, but he said his successes and failures speak volumes.
Insofar as there are others who can advance themselves for office, I would simply ask you, as you examine me on my record, examine them on their record as well. It's a serious business, and it's a serious time.
And according to Dr. Rowley, may the best man or woman win. But he urged PNM supporters to vote wisely.
Choose the best man or woman for the job. Once we do that, no political party in Trinidad and Tobago could better the PNM on election day.
As for agitators in the party who accused Dr. Rowley of being a wild card or a loose cannon, he had this to say.
You know one of the problems I'm having as we go forward in this PNM leadership contest? I've heard it said that if I become leader of the PNM and become Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, certain persons wouldn't be able to control me. Does that bother you? Who is it who would like to control the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago?
Because the next leader of the PNM could potentially be the new leader of the country, Dr. Rowley reminded the PNM membership to elect the ideal candidate to fill those shoes. Melissa Dasrath, CNews.
I want to tell Ms. Patricia Batiste, I mean, you know, disrespect in what I'm going to say here. You support my program, and I respect everybody who do, and I respect those who don't neither. If you want to move on, that is your choice. Don't put me in the we must move on. I am not a part of the go along to get along crew. I'm not. And I'm not going to just simply say, let me move on when things are not right. If you all choose to do that because you all don't want to create a wave, whatever. I am seeing future. If what I seen for today, I seen future. The PNM can't go along like that and win no election in 2030. Me ain't moving on to nothing when they have nothing to move on. That's my personal choice. I am one person. Right? So you all free to move on. You want to move on. If all are upset with me for saying that and don't want to watch my life, that is quite okay. I started off my life at a time when it had about 3-4 people on it. I used to come and still do it. I used to enjoy because to me, it was about doing something I love doing. So please don't tell me to move on. If you all want to move on with the leadership that the PNM has now, all are free to move on. Because I don't know what all they expect to come from the political leader that she ain't showing right now. It have nothing else to see. What you're seeing is now you're getting there and there's nothing there. It doesn't mean that you don't like her. It don't mean to say that you hate. It has nothing to do with that. She's the political leader of the People's National Movement, the first female political leader of the People's National Movement, and the first female opposition leader of the country. PNM is in opposition with 13 members of parliament against the UNC who have about 27, 28 or whatever it is, but doing all kind of things. And you need a strong opposition against that. It have individual members of parliament who have the strength. But when it's time for the opposition leader, political leader, the People's National Movement to stand up, represent, and present, it is falling flat. And if all you don't understand that and don't recognize that, that is all your problem. Me and talking about things for today. It have an election to win. It have the Tobago election. It have local government election. And it have general election. Tell me which one. All you convinced that this political leader could lead me into victory. If she does, I'm very happy for all you. But I am saying that is why it have political analysts and it does have poll and this and that, people study science, political science and all that, because they look at status, they look at statistics, they look at numbers and able to give an informed analysis of things. They may not be 100% correct, but they're always hitting the nail on the head. And Ms. Beckers has never shown herself to be anybody remarkable in the political space. That is a fact. She can now learn it in she late 60s. She done set in she ways. What you see is what you get. So the excuse about I'm not running behind I'm not backing behind every card that thing. In this UNC government-led country here, every card that pass you have to back over because everything is important. And all that one minister speak. And yeah, that is quite okay. But you then can't come and say everything that you plan to say, them don't say it. Come now, man. Then all they want to set up this scenario where all of us are coming in Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West constituency. The political leader was to come and how 3 people organizing to bring people to run the political leader and the chief executive out of. Why would anybody do that? She's a political leader in People's National Movement. She's free to go any constituency that she wants to go. Who went to running her to do what? So me saying that she's weak and I don't believe she's the best person, mean if I say I go run she, why would I do that? Well, I've not let her shaken or something. Why would she come to Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, under our member of parliament, Stuart Richard Young, SC, and anybody run her? Why would anybody do that? That is not what we made of. All of us get tied up, you know. All they can't chew gum and speak at the same time. I could ain't favor she as the political leader of the People's National Movement and being she present and be very respectful. The two of them have nothing to do with anything. She's a political leader. If she come in the constituency, we come out to support. Remember, Parliament is Stuart Richard Young and the political leader is Penelope Beckers. That's what it said. But that don't mean to say I will still have my thoughts that she's not the best person to lead the PNM. What's wrong with all the truth, boy? All of us talk about education. Sometimes I want to think as if people with education feel, but sometimes you need to have education, not only just common sense. You need to have some little education to go along with common sense and street sense. The two of them have to mesh sometimes. So as I say in here, I'm not saying that you're upset. I was just giving you my point of view, Ms. Patricia Batiste. And you see the continuing to tell people, let we move on. I find it offensive. I'm not upset, but I find it offensive. If you and others want to move on, only free to move on. Stop telling people who have legitimate concerns about the leadership of the People's National Movement, just leave it and let we move on and let we make up. Stop telling us that. It's better to say, let us come together and see if we can work this thing out. Stop telling we forget how we feel and move on because we feel a different way. That is not how it does work. And it ain't going to work so in 2025 going forward. That we must subdue how we feel. Just not to upset nobody and just move on. But you're moving on half-heartedly. If people want to do that, they're free to do that. That has nothing to do with me. I never tell nobody, hey, you don't support Penelope because you don't support Penelope because you don't. I never tell nobody that. I never tell nobody you support Stuart Young, you support. I never tell nobody damn thing. So stop coming to tell me, let we move on, we must move. No, go somewhere else and say that. On my life, don't tell nobody, but no move on with nothing. People free to support, not to support, and it's still I love Miss Patricia, right? I want to just tell people good evening here because I want to wrap up at the end of the day. I looking at country. I know what my forefathers and they went through when they came here under enslavement. Although in Trinidad and Tobago, they came in 1799 under the Sedela population, where the Spanish wanted to get into the sugar industry and they didn't want to do nothing. So they invited the French to come with the domesticated enslaved Africans to come to develop these islands. Yeah, to plant sugarcane grass. And we did it successfully because when we were planting it, sugar was king. And it developed and it built Europe, it built England, that England could have got into industrialization because they were able to invest the money, they're getting off the back, the pain, the sweat, the rape, the torture, the mutilation of my ancestors, of your ancestors, and they built Europe with it. Eh? And when they realized that sugar, the grass, causing too much money to import up to England now because of the Dutch and them only attacking the ship and that to pay extra money for security now with ship on the outside and all that. And they start to look and take the money and invest in things like heat, steam, using beetroot and honey. Right? That is where we come from. We build the Caribbean. We love the Caribbean. Some of us have ways, whatever the case may be. And when we got independent, we didn't fight physically for it. But we fought in terms of you had a wits, brains, minds. Tajul Hossain, Lanes Sukaran on DLP side, if they didn't have that consciousness in them, the whole thing could have fallen apart because of the behavior of Capelville. And then on the government side, you have Dr. Eric Eustace William, brains, kills. That's it, watch me and he's too bright to say, let me come to something. Let me come to. We fought for it that way. And we come through the ages. So the anthem is dear to us, the flag is dear to us, independence is dear to us. And we know the importance of that. And with this government here, who always appear to be unpatriotic, in my opinion, the only government that is keeping out of chaos and mayhem and backing on this side for themselves is the People's National Movement. Rodney Charles tell me that. So I would like to see the People's National Movement get back into office and write back this place, put it back on a clear path. And I'm not seeing it happening with this political leader. She just does not have what it takes. That is my opinion, and I have a right to feel that way and still respect you. You can never cuss me one day. Most I say she's weak. And if there's a disrespect, well, okay. Because I hear they call Dr. Rowley more nasty things than that. And nobody didn't have a problem. All them find it was a problem. But I saying she's weak is a problem because she's a woman. Let me tell you something. Small crap or big crap or same hand assault, same tongue assault. You want to be in the political space, you have to take talk. You have to take talk. You want to lead, they say no, patacake, patacake. You have to be able to take constructive talk too. So I want to tell everybody have a blessed weekend. Let me call who I could see here. I'm seeing here on Facebook. You went late tonight, Friday night. You're lining with me, no seal. Emmeline, Rebecca, Sarah, Patricia, Ruthville, Hadara, Kim, Glennis, Cheryl, Julian, Cynthia, Eric Oliver, Sweet Berries. Let me see who I see across here. Oh, shucks. I think it was the tablet. I'm going to touch it with my hand just so. Annette, Attila, Rockman. That's now. Julie, Cynthia, Donna, Brian, Rena. Hey. Let me see who again. Oh, Jenny Melba, yeah. All those who are locked on, Marlene, Jennifer, stop calling your well name in your mouth. Melba, make a life calling out your name. Erica. Marlene, you telling me stop calling the OL name in my mouth? Marlene, all right? I call the opposition leader name. I keep saying, okay, let me call she name now because like you want me to call she name. Opposition leader, the Honorable Penelope Beckles Robinson. Okay, I call she name now. All right? She's not the opposition leader at Trinidad and Tobago. So why can't I call she name? Look, let's stop toting all their feelings and exercise emotional intelligence now, please. Please, don't get the whole thing twisted. If you like the opposition leader, that is your right and your choice to like her. If you support her as a political, that's your right and your choice. Nobody vexed with you. What have a problem with me for? I don't understand that. Why you have a problem with me? I'm one person. And I say what I say, and I will say it again because me ain't lying on nobody. Me ain't looking for something. Me ain't looking for hands up, a hands down, a hands not like good boy. If people want to be go along to get along, that is their business. Me a vex with nobody. What are vexing with me for? Look, Miss Lady, please. And it's still a love at the end of the day. If only what she called, if only one nobody called she name, let she take she birth paper, rip it up, go in the birth paper place, register she name, and put nothing there. So nobody go call she nothing. Yeah, you know she have no damn oomph. That's a fact, it's not me say so. If you fed up hearing that, Nayabo, with all due respect, I fed up hearing this year. All right. I misread what you wrote there. My bad, Nayabo. You're saying I am fed up here and give her a chance. You're doing to give Plummer a chance to operate on you because she's nice. Gosh, come on, people. And you're correct. So my apologies. I misread what you put in there. That's the next thing. You go to the hospital to have an operation. And the doctor presented to you. You don't want to know experience the man have? So they tell you, well, he's a new intern and whatever it is. They say, what? And when they look straight at a next man, who is he? He's a consultant. He's been doing this operation for 20 years or whatever. We're going to say, hey, let me try this, you fella here. Let me give you a chance. You hold your rule. That way you gonna do? It's the same damn thing. You want the person with the blasted experience. And being in the party for years and years, that don't mean it's experience. Only banking and she did for years and she did for years and she did for years. Okay, that means experience. That means she capable to run the thing. If all it feels so nice on the business. Got nothing to do with me. Lord Jennifer, I wish this was a 2025 clip and he wasn't going to step down, but he left us in good hands with Stuart, but some evils. Listen up, people. Much respect to all those who have a different opinion. Much respect to people who have a different opinion. I have no problem. But having somebody come and make a life all the time to cost me. The more you cost me, the more blessings I get. Because what I say, me making up no lie on nobody. So the more they cost me and call my name, the more blessing my Jah, true living God will keep blessing me. Because you know when I talk from a place of truth and honesty. And I saw this and I really like it. Too much attention makes a donkey think he's a lion. That's why I don't pay some ass no mind. Then I continue. Brain. Make a life tonight and cuss me again. It didn't have a cuss word. Yeah, news that me here. Use it again and say it. Lie on me. Say ill things about me. And if that one makes you happy in your life and your space, I wish you all the best. So people, enjoy your weekend. Love you all. When I speak, I hope nobody take offense. If you take offense, there's nothing much I can do. I mean no disrespect to anybody. I talk it as I see it and people just tell me what they feel about me. Okay, no sin in that. That's how life is. So enjoy your weekend. Be safe. See you all on Monday. God's gonna come with something for something new. This is Girl Jen, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. And if you want to get formal, it's Miss Jennifer Frederick. Another edition of We Talk the Thing. And people, we would be back here after Jah to talk more things. So director put up the tune for me, and this was a late edition. You know, we just mix it up when you're ready. So director, if you're listening, play the tongue, play him in the tongue now. Play the song, let the song ting, ting, ting. Because I ain't seen it here. Let me see if I find it. Play the thing, director, where you drop asleep or really?
Want to know why Jamaica run from the Federation. Well, they want to know why Jamaica run away from the Federation. Jamaica have a right to speak she mind. That is my opinion. And if you believe in democracy, you'll agree with me. But if they know they didn't want Federation, and they know they don't want to unite as one, independence was at the door. Why didn't they speak before? This is no time to say you are federating no more. Whoa, 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 la la dee la da dee la. La la dee la. When they didn't get the capital site, that nearly caused big fight. When Sir Grantley Adams took up his post, that even made things worse. They ballin', we ain't want no Bajan premier. Trinidad can't be capital for here. So the grumbling went on and on to a big referendum. But if they know they didn't want federation, and they know they don't don't want to unite as one and only one. I said to tell the doctor you're not in favor. Don't behave like a blasted traitor. How the devil you mean you're federating no more? Again, I think it's a big shame. After so much efforts and energy put by everybody, right now it's only a memory. We fail miserably. Some may say we shouldn't help part it, but it's Jamaica will start it. If they know they didn't want federation, and they know they don't want to unite as one, just tell the doctor you're not in favor. Don't behave like a blasted traitor. This is no time to say you are federating no more. Whoa, whoa, la da dee dee la da dee dee simply this is dog eat dog and survival of the fittest. Everybody fighting for independence, singularly Trinidad for instance. We gon' get it too, so don't bother. But I find we should all be together, not separated as we are because of Jamaica. If they know they didn't want federation, and they know they don't want to unite as one, tell the doctor you're not in favor. Don't behave like a blasted traitor. How the devil you mean you are federating no more?